Well, good morning, Tom, and Happy New Year. It's been a while. How are you?
Thank you, Paul. Happy New Year to you too. I'm much better than I was 10 days ago, 15,
Yeah,
two
tell
weeks ago.
everyone about what happened if you're willing.
Yeah, I did come down with the Rona, and
Hmm.
it was more like a head cold sinus infection, but the weariness was profound.
Hmm.
I didn't get out of bed for maybe 4 days. I just wanted to sleep, but
Right.
I didn't have a fever. I didn't have
Hmm.
a I didn't have any coughing or respiratory anything. It was thankfully a very mild case, but I didn't see anybody in my family for 6 or 7 days.
Wow.
My wife would slide the prison tray under the door, rattle the stick against the bars.
Well, you're lucky. We've had other clients in the ICU, so I'm glad for you that it was late.
Yes, me too. So thankfully that has come and gone, and just waving so long to the DMG Maury guy who's
Oh,
just
yes, that's the
just
other
with
big news. You have a
yeah
new machine.
we did we got it delivered on Tuesday morning, and it's all set up, and we're getting training on it next week and the week after. So
Very
big things
exciting.
here at RX Industries.
Very
Big
exciting.
things. Yeah.
Cool. Well, what's been going on in ProShop with you lately? Love to see what you're doing.
Well, Michael Hedgewood is going to be missed, but his training is coming to a conclusion. He's going to check in with us once a week just to kind of babysit,
Hmm.
whatever's going on. But I feel like I'm really using this a lot, and I thought maybe this episode we would go over an issue that I have up in using ProShop, and just how do we assign costs. And
Sure.
I got an opportunity from a mega great company, and this opportunity consists in one one part that has two end caps, a right hand and a left hand on it,
Okay.
and this part is going to use some common tooling among all three. But I want to know how I don't assign all the NRE to one work order, and how I get that across those multiple work orders and so forth. So I thought maybe if I could share
That
my
sounds
screen with
great.
you,
Yeah, absolutely.
um, we'll look at that together and solve some real world problems. So here are the three estimates here, and they're somewhat similar.
Hmm.
But I've
Yeah,
got some NRE hardware there. And so I just don't want to charge him all of it
sure.
3 times.
Yeah, yeah. And so I guess a couple of questions up front. Will you assume that if you win one of these parts, you'll win all three? This is a package quote for the whole assembly?
Right. It's an assembly, so you're gonna get nothing, or you're gonna get it all.
Okay. So first of all, that's really important to note in the terms and conditions, right? That'll be down at the bottom. So you
Mm,
can put those, and since that's kind of a unique situation, you can customize the actual, and if you scroll down a little bit so folks can see it, um, you can customize the
hmm
actual T's and C's. Um,
So can I check this out and do that?
you don't need to for right now, but
Oh,
if you want, you can. That's fine. But
all
you're
right.
gonna, let me clear my annotation. And so you can just put in that top line item. This is a package quote. All three items must be ordered, and that will be
Mm-hmm.
explicitly pushed onto the quote itself. Of course, you can always leave these as is and just add that note manually on the quote itself. It works both ways.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as getting back to your question here, if you'd scroll up just a little bit, yeah, right about there is perfect. So you have, as you already have put in here, these non-reoccurring setup times. And these are all in minutes, of course. So you have, 300 minutes, or what is that, 5 hours of programming time. Say for op
Mm-hmm.
50 here, you have 4 hours of additional setup time beyond the 1 hour that it would normally take you on a repeat basis.
Mm-hmm.
But so question to you, if you got the say the the whole family, do you need, and do you have the same numbers on these other two estimates? Do you have the same 300, 240, 480, that kind of stuff? You do. Okay. So assuming then that you have, all three parts one as a package, how much additional time will it actually take you to do that work? And I imagine especially the right and left hand parts are probably the most relevant here, right? If you program the left hand part, you can just, mirror that code in Mastercam or whatever, and just output the other part, right? It's not going to take you another 300 minutes to program the other side. So what I would do is put in the actual amount of time that you believe it'll take if you do the whole package of parts. And that's true for programming. That's true for the machine setups. That's true if you had non-reoccurring inspection. And that's also true for this non-reoccurring material and hardware section, right? So you have $200. If you have that on all three, are you actually going to spend $600, right, for hardware? Or is it actually only $200, in which case you should have, $66 a piece, thereabouts on each of the three? Or maybe it's a little different on the, the main body part versus the left and rights.
Right. So the way that this main C1012 is, I believe this information is correct for that part, and that $200 is accurate on this. But we can divide these two in half for all of these NR.
Okay.
Right. The end caps can be divided in two. So
then
just
that's
don't
want
to.
Then that's what I would do. Yeah. Because otherwise, you're non-recurring. So keep in mind, there's two things that's going to come out of these numbers. One is they're going to feed onto your quote to the actual price you want to charge. So if it's double, your customer may say this is just too much. I'm going to send this order to somebody else. So you want those numbers to be accurate from a dollar perspective. The other thing that these numbers will do is they will feed directly into the shop targets and your scheduling in ProShop. So if you want your programmer to have 900 minutes of programming time, and I do have a question actually. I see that you have two different line items here for programming. You have op 15 and you have op 17. Can I ask why you have two different numbers, this one and this one?
Yes, because in our inspection, it takes a great deal of time to program the part so that when you put in the first one
for your CMM or your keyins.
Right.
Okay, sure. Yep.
Yeah.
That's and I see, yeah, the resource is different. That's your keyins work center.
Yes.
Okay. All right, makes sense. Yeah, but still fundamentally the principle is the same. Put in the total amount you think divided equally, or however you think the division should be, and therefore the NRE will be accurate, and your time and targets and schedule will be accurate. And this is important regardless of what ERP system you're using. We're talking about how to get realistic time targets into the manufacturing process for both what the employees are seeing, for what they're shooting for, and for what it's putting on the schedule, so your resources can be accurately scheduled out.
Right. So up here, I've got the related estimates on these two to each other.
Yep.
And then, as you say, I'll go down here to the bottom so that this becomes a part of the record that, hey, we've costed this so that if we get one, we have to get the other in order for these NREs to be accurate.
Absolutely.
And I love having that information as part of the single source of truth when we look back on this at some point.
Yep, and those notes will be pushed onto the actual quote you're sending the client, so they'll see it. And if you ever go look at that quote history, you'll see that note was included to your customer. Yeah. So does that answer that sufficiently?
It did. It's perfect. And when we first started this conversation, I looked into several lesser costs ERP systems. I was just looking at one last night, as a matter of fact, and how little the $97 is what they were charging for so, some of your Flying Start package. And I thought, you know, that's basically $97 worth of paper.
Sure.
That's
sure.
that. And that's about it. I mean, they're just hitting the print button and sending you off. But as far as its usefulness and its ability to, this is helping me be competitive. I don't want to overlook the fact that, oh, well, if I sent this quote out to him just like this, it'd be 3 times as expensive at NRE.
Sure.
And and if I don't catch that, I'm losing out on opportunities.
And then, of course, again, feeding that, assuming you win it, feeding that all accurately into your team, into your shop, into scheduling, into target times. And
right.
as you know, those non-reoccurring times will be applied on that first order you get, and then they will automatically be stripped off by ProShop for the second, third, fourth order, assuming it repeats. So your schedule stays accurate, and the target times that people are shooting for when they're tracking time and working on those jobs will be as accurate as possible too.
Yeah. Isn't that awesome?
We think it's, it was important to us when we ran our shop, and I'm glad you find value in that as well. So that's cool.
I think it's amazing that somebody could have thought of all this, to be honest with you. All right,
can we skip to
something else?
It only took 20 years, Tom, so. Yes, we can definitely go to another topic. What else do you got?
Let's talk about this fancy new machine that we have here sitting on my floor. Machine. Oh my gosh, is it nice?
That's sexy.
So the guy that I waved to just a few minutes ago, he was the DMG Mori technician who came in. He was checking all the geometries, and he gave me 7 pages of as it was built in the factory, and then the geometry as it's sitting on my floor. And I want to keep that as a part of my permanent record, and I want to set up maintenance and so forth that goes with this. So I've started this equipment description, and let's talk about how we can populate it with.
I'm guessing it based on all the 12 items I see. You copied a template to make this, right?
Exactly. There's so many templates in here that you can copy and paste, and it basically gives you what you ought to be doing, although it'll change for different pieces of equipment. You can sort of follow along. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, and this is a template specifically for a CNC machine. So yeah, so you already have that scan or PDF file or whatever it is, right?
Yes, I do. So can we pop that in there? Can I check this out?
Yeah, go for it. That's how you do it. Yeah.
Checking it out, and then we've got a file to add to this piece of equipment. This is where you do it, right?
Absolutely.
And then this pops up. This is the handiest thing in the world. ProShop gives you a temporary folder that you can dump all kinds of stuff in for today. And as soon as you want to add something, if I had 15 things on here, 15 items would appear on here. I just select that, and look at that, just save it in there. And now all this calibration info, and I always check to make sure that it populated correctly.
Yeah, so that's the report he just made up over the last couple of days. Yeah.
Well, actually, it's got today's date on it. So he just finished that. So these are all in microns. So, I've got 7 pages of loveliness here as a permanent record of that machine.
Yeah, and obviously this is the same way you add things like material certs and anything else. But yeah, I mean, this is a fantastic place to put it. I'd say it's probably the best place to put it. If you wanted to add it in another place, did you issue a PO for this machine by any chance in ProShop?
I did. Okay. And I was going to check that PO in now that the machine is sort of checked out.
receive it. Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do that, you can go to the vendor PO module, pull up the vendor purchase order. There it is. The whole world's going to see this price unless we fuzz it out in the recording.
Well, it's sure. Hey, get yourself one, huh?
We'll figure out if we want to fuzz that out after this. But yeah, you
Right.
can receive it, inspect it, release it, scan in, that that cert. Now so two ways you could do this. When you use that holding tank, ProShop actually removed the file from the temporary folder and put it in a new permanent location. So if you go to click add file here, you will not see anything in the holding tank because it's been removed.
Right.
So you'd either need to throw another copy back in there, or you could just, you could browse for it, or you could take the URL from the other link and paste it right into that link upload tab. So it's pointing to the same exact file. Totally your choice.
So
if you right click on that and say copy link address, and then go back over to that other, you might need that little tab. Hit your control alt tab, hit alt tab on your keyboard.
Alt tab, huh?
Alt tab.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. So go back to link upload and just paste it right there in the file path. Just paste. Right. So then click save, and that will have the same exact file linked. And you could have given it a name. You could still do that, but that little icon now, that's looking at the same exact file that's linked to the other one.
There she blows.
There it is.
Look at
Permanent
that.
record. Yep.
That's
Cool.
awesome.
Well, congrats on the machine. That's the coolest part of all.
Yeah.
Should not be breaking taps like the machine you had before, hopefully.
That, at the end of the day, it's going to cost me 3 to 5 months of productivity. We should be, it'll be Valentine's Day before we really get going, and we were dead in the water November 4th. So plan for the unplannable, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Welcome to the life of a machine shop owner.
If you don't love this is not the place.
Absolutely,
for us
Tom.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You bet.
Well, the excitement of working with, we just finished that financial integration webinar that you just did.
Yeah.
And we're getting ready to integrate QuickBooks in with ProShop. And I'm on there with my brother, and we're texting back and forth. This is going to be great. We need to create this in our chart of accounts, and we're going to keep track of this and that and the other thing. And
yeah,
I just feel like this is exactly what I had in mind. Really,
I'm glad.
All of it.
That warms my heart. I'm so glad. So your brother is the sort of, is he like a CFO type person, like real financial person, or is that you, or neither?
I have a CFO,
Okay.
Bob in Chicago. Hey, Bob. And but my brother is more of the liaison between us, because he can help Sarah with QuickBooks, and he can help Bob, not get bogged down in all the details, and just he's my shaman, or my Sherpa guide.
Nice.
For getting the stuff done. He's very financially savvy.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been key to this whole thing for me, really.
That's essential to have someone like that on your team.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, cool. That was well, first of all, I just want to say it's really cool to see not just like how are you doing on training, but now you're using what you've learned to actually solve real world issues, and you're using it as a tool rather than learning the tool. So that's great to see, and I'm glad you're at that stage. And yeah, so you will be pretty soon sort of graduating off of our training implementation process. that work order that we showed in some of the previous episodes, you'll be all signed off on that, documenting the fact that you went through the process. All the recordings of you and Michael talking will be obviously available to you, so you can go back and revisit those recordings at any time in the future. And we'll keep checking in with you, and hopefully we'll see what you and I do on these. But yeah, it's been a really cool experience to watch you over the last few months.
Well, we've got this flying start package, and now that we're beyond the initial stage of this, it's time for us to start leveraging the true value of that. I can't say enough for the wealth of information that comes with it. It's not just $97 worth of paper, that you're getting in the mail. Well, I mean, there's a lot of things about this that I simply had no foreknowledge of, ISO 9001, 2015 stuff, but it's like drinking through a fire hose, but it's all intelligible, and it's been great. So can't thank you enough, Paul. You and your team.
My pleasure, Tom. Such an honor to work with you.
All right.
Cool. Well, yeah. Any last things you want to share, or should we sign off, let you go play with that new machine and start making some chips with it?
Well, I think it's time to sign off for now. But how about maybe if we do this again, we get a little tour of it. It's still a little bit of a mess out there, just getting it in place and so forth. But maybe next time we'll take a quick peek at it.
I know your fans would love that. I've had people ask, when's the next episode coming out with Tom? So so you'll have paparazzi at your door before too long.
I invite anybody who would like to reach out to RX Industries. Just give me a holler, no problem.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, my friend. Good to see you. Glad you're well. Upward and onward.
Be safe out there.
All right. Take care, Tom. Bye.